Hey, guy level here. And today we're gonna be making Twitch panels, or maybe that's another excuse for me to introduce you to graphic design. Anyways, I'm gonna start by telling you where on the internet you can find some Twitch panels super fast, super easy by modifying a template, designing your own, getting some pre-made ones. And then we're gonna be using Photopea.com, which is basically Photoshop for free on the internet from a web browser to create, let's say 3 designs, all right? And once we're done making them, I'll make them available for free to you. Check the links in the description. Now the links won't be available forever, but it doesn't matter since I'm gonna show you how to make them yourself, step by step. All right, I'm super excited about this video, but I'm even more excited by today's sponsor. And this video sponsor is SolarStream. SolarStream is a membership service that provides you with a bunch of educational courses made by live streamers for live streamers. It was made by the same people who created Streamer Square, which is a big educational platform for live streamers already. SolarStream kicks off with 30 courses, and the information in those courses was sourced from 50 plus well-established, very successful streamers that you might know actually. The courses cover multiple topics, from streaming 101 to business and logistics, monetization, growth, basically everything you need to know in order to build, maintain, and grow. And to make the learning as fun as possible, there are multiple types of media that you can learn from: articles, videos, quizzes, worksheets, and more. You can start your free membership today and have access to free information. Then check out the accelerated plan once you're ready to get serious. Of course, they will continue to add more courses, but I'll let you check it out and sign up today and launch your stream towards new horizons with SolarStream. All right, let's imagine that you're just starting out and you want some Twitch panels and you want to kind of customize them. Maybe you have some weird social media that you want to show. Boom. First place I would go is NerdorDie. They have a bunch of panels that are completely free that you can customize. You can choose the colors. You can type whatever you want into them. You've probably seen this one a lot, but NerdorDie has way more. Look at that. Let's scroll up. Look at here. Twitch Panel Maker. Literally right there on the website, you can create your own panel. Text content. Boom, I made a panel. If I wanted to change the logo, I can do that too. If I want to change the color, of course I can do that too. I can even see what it looks like if I'm using light mode. Don't use light mode. Anyways, that's NerdorDie, link in the description. Another resource for free but also paid Twitch panels is gumroad.com/getlevel. Yes, made by yours truly. So every time you say 0+, that means it's free. It's pay what you want. So if you want to pay something, you can pay something. I don't mind taking the tip, but you can also type in 0 and get it for completely free. And every time you see a pack, for example, this is free Halloween pack, boom, this comes with a bunch of panels too. Can check the preview. Look at that. It says Halloween themed panels. This one is called Sneak, and you can see a preview of the panels. Usually there's about 20 to 21 panels, including a blank one that allows you to put whatever you want if you want to customize it. So every single pack has a bunch of panels included. So for that, link will be, you guessed it, in the description. All right, let's talk about owned, for example. If you go to overlays and design and static, you'll find panels. Now those are not free, but there are so many. Plus right now they're having 50% sale. Plus they will include a PSD panel that you can actually modify and type whatever you want in Photoshop or any software that opens PSD files. You probably already heard of Own because they frequently sponsor my videos. But yeah, you guessed it. Link will be in the description. Another cool website that allows you to modify it straight from the website before you download it is Placeit.net. And the cool thing here, you can not only make panels, but you can also make overlays. You can create whatever you want, really. It's a template website. So if I type Twitch panel, for example, I'll get a bunch of them, but you can modify them easily. This one is cute. And you see the graphic here, but it's also completely deconstructed. So you can see whatever you want to put. For example, if I want to change this one and I want to put this one instead, boom, it's that easy. And every single color can be changed. It is really that simple. You can change the font if you want to. You can change the text. Make it say whatever you want and boom. Now this one is not free either, but with the link in the description, you're actually getting 15% off because your boy is affiliated with them. So moral of the story is check out the links in the description. Now we can start creating them from scratch so you can see how much work it is when you're actually working from scratch. So step 1, go to Photopea.com or Photopea. I like calling it Photopea. I'm going to keep calling it Photopea. Click on new project. This is basically Photoshop for free. All right. Under DPI, you want to put 300. So that's high quality, you know. And when it comes to the width and the height, I get this question a lot. What What is the width? What is the Twitch tells you, hey, the width is going to be minimum 320 or recommended. All right. And just to make sure that it looks as good as possible, I usually double it. So I go 640 for the width, because when it comes to the height, you can put whatever you want. You can have one long panel. So I usually start by making a square, 640 by 640. And depending on the design that I'm going for, I'm going to crop the height. So 640 by 640, and I can click create. Boom. So now I have a square. And we're going to create something that is kind of super duper easy to do. You're going to go to Google Images. You're going to find a transparent PNG of a character that you play from the game. And then you're going to download that, upload that to Photopea. And this is going to be your banner. Of course, make sure that you have the rights to use the images that you download from Google Images. Don't just take a random one. Definitely do not just take someone's artwork from like DeviantArt. But yeah, for example, if you play Apex Legends, you're probably a sweaty Wraith main. Let's type Wraith PNG. And let's try to find a transparent one. And if we can't find a transparent one, we can just make it transparent then. For example, the ones that you see, the preview already has the checkers. Those are not transparent. You're being faked out. It's only the ones that have a white background here. And then when you click, they turn into checkers. Like this one, that is a transparent one. All right. Always keep an eye on where you are downloading it from. So the website is shown here. I will not be responsible for any DMCA claims. This is high quality. So we're going to go with that one. You're going to right click it and click save image. Right. So we have that downloaded, and now we are just going to drag and drop it into Photopea. We're going to scale it. In order to not mess it up, we're going to hold shift. Right, so it maintains the proportions. We might want it on the left or on the right. If you want it to the right, you might want to flip it. So right click, flip horizontally, just like this. And there you go. Remember that we're going to crop the height just to make sure that we have something that looks good. That's not too bad. I'm going to move her with the arrows on my keyboard. Press C in order to bring up the crop menu. And here we're going to kind of visualize how we want the panel to be. We're not going for a square panel here. We're going with a rectangle, kind of normal one, kind of thin rectangle, just like this, and boom. Okay, next step, let's find something like a brush stroke on also Google Images. Brush stroke, PNG if needed. So here we're going to try to find a brush stroke that looks clear enough to have some text over it basically, but we also want something that is kind of high quality. For example, this one is 320. We don't want that. Something like this actually looks really good, or this. Nice. So we're going to right click and download it. It's from PNG All. So it is a website where you can download the PNG, and the license is Creative Commons. Boom. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back here, except we're going to click on the background just so that it puts the layer in between both of them, even if I'm not even sure it's going to do that. So I'm going to just drag and drop it in here, and it did that. Boom, there you go. We're going to scale it in order for it to be a little visible behind Wraith here. It's a brush stroke, so it doesn't have to be like high fidelity. So you don't need to really hold shift. This is nice. So we were able to find a brush stroke that is not only PNG, so transparent border, transparent background, I should say. But on top of that, it's pretty high quality. This is great. Gonna do this. That's nice. Okay, so now Wraith already has some sort of a color scheme, because this is pretty much the part where you would choose what is your color scheme, what are the colors you want to display that are part of your brand. Right here, Wraith already has that purple, so we can stay with the purple, or we can, add an adjustment layer and make Wraith have a different color. I would go here in new adjustment layer. Let me close that down. New adjustment layer. I would go to hue and saturation, and I would play around with the hue a little bit until I find something that I like, maybe more bluish, for example. And just to make sure that the hue and saturation only applies to the Wraith, I'm going to place my cursor in the middle between the Wraith and the hue saturation. I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to click. And it didn't do what I wanted it to do. I'm going to go a little higher and then click. There you go. And as you can see, there's an arrow here saying that basically it's only going to apply to all the pixels on the Wraith. Okay, from there, you can technically just write your text and then you're good to go. But if you want to change the color of the brushstroke, you can add an effect. So at the bottom here, with the brushstroke selected, you can click on effects, go to color overlay, and from there, pick a color. I suggest you pick a color from the Wraith, for example, a darker one, because you want your text to be visible. Just to stay on the color scheme, click OK, and now you're good. Click on T for the text tool, and now you can type the name of your panel. For example, about. I'm going to select that. Up top, you're going to see the color. Let's put that to white so it's really visible. You can bump up the size, and you can click a little higher from it in order to move it. or you can just use the move tool. Top left, you will see the font, and Photopea already has a bunch of cool fonts that you can use. Let's try to find something that kind of resembles like a brush since we're in that theme. All right, this is a weird font, but I don't want to waste too much time, so let's go with it. This one is called DJ Gross. Now, one thing I usually do just to make sure that my design stays consistent, I will type out the biggest word that I know that I'm going to use in my panels. For example, Instagram. And the reason I do this is to have an idea of how big I want the font to be, because you want to keep the font size roughly the same. You don't want to have different panels with different sizes all over the place. So I would probably place this like this. So that's my Instagram panel. But if I duplicate this by holding Alt, boom, turning off the first one, double clicking on the T and going about, this might look, very small, but this is basically the correct size if you're going to have a bunch of panels. Of course, if you play multiple characters, you can have more characters here. You can change them. And if you want to export them, well, if you want to, decorate a little bit, you can add a drop shadow by selecting the about. For example, you can click on effect, about, and then play around with the drop shadow. That's the angle. That's the opacity, so you can really see it. Distance, maybe less, just like that. Boom, you successfully made a Twitch panel. You can turn off the background. And now you have a transparent image that you can export by clicking on File, Export As, PNG, Save, and then pick wherever you want to save it. Call this one 1, click Save, boom, we have 1. Let's go back and click New. 640 by 640, 300 DPI, create. All right, so that's a new project. Let's create something that is more square. All right, let's go with a square. Basically, and we're going to create something that I call clean, and I'm going to show you how I can drag and drop certain elements to make it match the branding. So I'm going to do this, and in order to keep the proportions to a square, you hold shift, boom, you're going to create a square every time. It doesn't have to be a square. Some people don't like the look because it's pretty much automatically going to make it feel big. You can press Ctrl-Alt-T in order to transform, hold shift again, and make sure that it fills the frame, all right? And then from here, let's pick I like to go with dark backgrounds because anything that you're gonna put that's gonna be bright is gonna really pop out. But that's a really cool effect right there. And honestly, the easy button for making something look clean is having like a very faded, even blurry sometimes background and having, wide, small text with a lot of room to breathe. Let me elaborate on that by basically showing you. Let's go to Pexels, for example, which is a website, actually not Pexels. Let's go with Pix Here, which is a website where you can download Creative Commons images or simply put copyright-free images. And we can literally find anything. For example, I can type futuristic and let's see what it comes up with. We're gonna have a bunch of architectural images. We have space, we have an eye. Let's find something with a decent amount of contrast or decent amount of details. You know what? Let's go with this one. I like this one. Of course, you can download every size you want, but we're basically working in 640 by 640, so it's not huge. So I'm going to right click and click copy image here, go back to Photopea, and I'm going to press Control V on my, I was going to say controller, on my keyboard. Boom. Control Alt T to transform. So you can see it's huge here. We're just going to place it roughly in the middle here. Boom. Press enter. And we're lucky this is already black and white. If it wasn't black and white, you could press Control Shift U to make it black and white. And then on top of the layer list, we're going to lower the opacity like a lot. All right. So we have this. We're going to add some text. So click T and then type whatever text you want. Oh, as you can see, the text is actually bound to our shape layer, basically to our square. We actually don't want that. Let's drag and drop this in the bin. And let's select the background. And now let's select the text. And now let's type. Okay, so now we're free typing. It's just easier to move stuff around when it's like that. And I can type about. All right, it's underneath our layer, so we're going to drag it up. Now it's visible. We're going to double click to edit it. And we should have character here. There it is. Nice. And from here, you can change the size, the tracking, and even the font. It's an alternative to the options that you have up here. And now let's find something that is bold, very square, very, I don't know, futuristic looking, but still something simple. We're going for something classy, but in a futuristic way, not necessarily a luxury brand way. At the bottom here, you can see a couple of character formats. You can pick italic, and this one I love to use because it just puts everything in full caps. All right, there's one called Furore. I'm gonna pronounce that. And this is great, except we want to have the tracking be a little higher. And remember, my technique is to type a big word. But let's say you don't have an Instagram, and the biggest word is going to be like commands. Can you tell that I do this a lot? You have to have the whole text selected and lower the size. Oh, I didn't select everything. It doesn't matter. Let's go back and select everything. And now we can play around with the size. All right, so I'm going to click the move tool so the text is not selected anymore. And I'm going to click on center horizontally. Oh, I need to create a selection. My bad. Press Control A. That basically creates a selection around everything. And then you can center horizontally, center vertically. All right, so this is basically our panel, but we're going to add one little thing that's going to make it look a little bit better. We're going to go to Google Images again. We're going to type lens flare. Or if you prefer, you can directly type lens flare here, since we know everything from this website is going to be copyright free. I actually like this a lot, so let's utilize this. Right click, click copy image, go here, Control V, and place it the way you want. For now, at least. And we're going to go to on top of the layer list. You're going to see normal here. This is the blending mode. We're going to find something around the lighter ones. So lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, and then lighter color. I like linear dodge because I think that's pretty cool. We're going to press Control Alt T to edit the transform. I'm going to press Control minus to zoom out. And here I want this to be a little straighter, right? Okay, so I rotate by being just outside the boundaries, and I'm going to drag it down. And you know what? Like I wasn't going into this with a space theme, but I don't dislike it. Press enter. Boom. This is a pretty cool looking panel, if you ask me. That's nice. Now let's say that you don't want any words. You want just a logo, right? Because you can make the image clickable. For example, if you want to show your Twitter, you don't want it to say Twitter. You want it to just show the logo of Twitter. So we can go to Google Images, Twitter logo. Boom. Find a PNG one, you click on it, it becomes this, you right click, you click save as. When it's PNG, you can't really copy and then paste because it creates a background. Click save, go here, and then drag and drop right there. Remember to hold proportions, you hold shift, and in order to drag from the center, you hold alt. So we're gonna do this. We want Twitter to be small, just to keep it clean. This is the clean look is really, if everything is small and has a lot of space to breathe, boom. So for this one, I want a stroke effect. So while this is selected, I'm gonna go to effects. I'm gonna add a stroke. I'm gonna select the color white. Boom, okay. Let me bring that in the middle so you can really see what's going on. It's just size of the stroke. If you want it outside, center, or inside, and then the type of color and the opacity, of course. We want this to be full, just white. And we want it to be center, just so it really goes with the shape. We're going to click OK. And then on top here where it says opacity and fill, we want to click here and lower the fill. So just the stroke will be visible. All right. And maybe I want the Twitter bird to be here. And since this changes completely, I'm going to select the layer underneath. I'm going to hold Control, boom. So they're both selected. And maybe I want Twitter to be centered and that thing to be under it. And there you go. Now, if you're mixing panels, of course, you can also have a panel that is cropped and that has the text. This could be like that. Also, if you want the text to maybe bend, I'm trying to show you just a couple of things, but let me show you everything all of the time. Up top here, you'll see something that says warp. And then you're going to have to find the style. You click here and it's an arc, boom. And then you play a little bit with the percentage warps a little bit, and you can place it, maybe click OK, and then place it right there. And now you have a space. You can go back, by the way, for the wrap warp. Why am I calling it wrap? Double click here on the T, click on the warp again, and then I don't remember what was the issue, but whatever. Boom, click OK. and now place it. I believe that's the, what is it, Armageddon? We successfully recreated the Armageddon poster. If you want to get rid of this, you can also get rid of this, and boom, this is your whole thing, right? We're improvising here, okay? I don't know what I'm doing. I think that's a pretty cool looking panel, if you ask me. And if you go to paragraph and you click center here, you can just replace it by whatever, export it, put anything you want, export it. And then when it comes to the logo, the effects here, you can, you know, make it visible here, and then hold Alt, click on the stroke, drag and drop it on, for example, Discord, right? And then, well, you would do it on another icon, and then turn down the fill like we did, just to have the stroke around it. So that could be it too. That actually looks better, although the warp is a little too much. Nice. Okay, that's 2. Let's create a third one. Let's go ahead and click new, Control Alt N. I didn't look at the proportions. They don't look right. New, they weren't right. So 640 by 640. Create. This one is going to also be a rectangle. And this one, we're going to do a more traditional one, if you will. Boom. So let's pick the rectangle tool and let's create something like that. Boom, boom, boom. All right, nice. Let's pick the pen tool, or press P, I believe. Yeah, it is P. And let's click once on the corners, right? Press M in order to drag. Click here. So, and then click here, for example. And this is not working the way I thought it would. Press Control Z. Why is it not showing? My cursor is just normal. I've never used the pen tool on in Photopea. Click on this once. Okay, it disappears if you click on it once. Anyways, you put 2 points, you delete the one in the middle. All right. So let's do the same thing here. I'm holding space in order to move. Create a point here. Create a point there, and then click on that point. Boom. There you go. Now we have, you know, half futuristic-ish looking. This is the easy button for futuristic looking stuff. So this shape, we're going to add a stroke. I showed you how to do that. You select it, you go to effects, you click stroke. This time we want it to be on the inside just to make sure that we don't spill over. Inside, boom, we want it to be gray, or if you want, you can actually add a gradient to the stroke. So fill type, gradient, boom. Let's go with this. I click on the gradient, it opens up this menu right there. I'm going to make it dark gray to light gray. We don't want it to be completely white, to lighter gray, let's say. Okay, click OK. When it comes to style, we're going to go click OK here too. When it comes to style, we're going to go reflected. All right, I know it's not really visible, but you have a little preview right there. And we're going to reverse it. We want the darker parts to be outside. When it comes to scale, we want it to be large. Just like that. All right, boom. Let's click away and see what we created. All right, it's not that visible. It's pretty good. It's nice. Now we're going to create another rectangle. We're going to create a long rectangle just like this. Okay, this time we're going to double click on the little icon and pick a color. Since we're really going with the blue, let's go with like maybe let's go with like a mint-ish. I like that color. That's a cool color. And let's duplicate this. So with the move tool selected, I can hold Alt and click and drag. Boom. All right. Now I'm going to press Control in order to select both of them. I'm going to press Control Alt T, and then I'm going to rotate them. I'm going to hold Shift while rotating them just to have specific rotations, like by 15, I believe. Otherwise, I can just rotate the way I want. It doesn't matter, but I like picking specific rotations. I'm going to press V to make sure that I have the move tool selected, and then I'm going to move those right here to the corner. I'm going to also hold Alt while they're both selected, drag and drop, just like we did the first time. Boom. Okay, so that's all cool. Now I'm going to select all of them together. Press one up top, hold Shift, press the one at the bottom. They're all selected. Press Control G to make a group. Okay. And now I'm going to place my cursor in the middle between the folder and the shape, which is the background. Hold Alt and click a little high. And that doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Hold Control on your keyboard and click on the icon of the shape. All right. So that creates a boundary selection, if you will. And then at the bottom here, you want to create a mask. Add raster mask. Can't speak. Boom. Now this is basically bounded to the shape underneath it. Let me close this thing right there. Nice. Now this isn't anything too fancy, but we're gonna go ahead and play with the blending mode. So I'm gonna go there and I'm going to go linear dodge. Boom. All right. So it just gives me a tiny little effect when it comes to the corners, since it's affected by what's underneath it. And if I don't like them and they're a little too bright, I can also lower the opacity, but we are affecting the group essentially. Okay, nice. So I'm going to select the shape here and I'm going to create a new layer. So it creates it on top of it. I'm going to select my brush tool, or press B if you want. Okay, I'm going to right click and I'm going to make it super big. Nice. I want the hardness to be at 0. So it's super soft. Big, 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 big. I'm going to lower the opacity to something like 5 actually. And I'm going to try to select that same color, that mint color. So I'm going to click here and go to the mint color. You can just eyeball that part. All right. And here we're going to create some sort of gradient. I like to do it manually because it feels more organic, right? It feels more real. Okay, so that's not bad. We're going to create our clipping mask. So in between those two, hold Alt, click on the one on top. Boom, it's clipping to the one at the bottom. You can lower the opacity if you don't like it, if it's too bright or whatever. I like to keep it slightly subtle. And this is not bad, but I feel like it's missing something. Maybe this should be like full. Let's use Google Images again, or actually let's use Pix here. Let's type grunge. Easy way to give texture to your graphic designs is to add like grungy textures like walls and floors and stuff like that. I don't know why my internet is extra struggling. I had to make sure I wasn't streaming by accident. So you're gonna find stuff like paper textures and all of that. Brush metal texture is something you can use too, but I'm looking, you know, for concrete walls or floors. Something that will be abstract enough. Let me click on this one. I like that. Let's right click. Copy image and let's Control V here. Nice. All right. So will a clipping mask work here? So I'm going to place my mouse in between those two, click on the one up top. It does work. And as you can see, it's only being applied to my stripes. I can click on the blending mode. And this time I want something darker. Maybe let's go to multiply. And yes, this is what we get. And this looks pretty good. So while this is selected, I can go Control, oh, my coffee mug. I can go Control L. Nice. And I can play around with the values here. So this is the darks and I can crush them in order to make them more visible. And I can basically play with the contrast. So this will be the light part. So your color will appear a little bit more. Boom. Click OK. And let's go with it. I actually changed my mind when it comes to the stroke for the shape. So I'm going to go to the effects here, double click on stroke, and I'm going to make it go outside instead of inside. I think we have enough space here to make it appear. And while I'm here in the layer style menu, I'm going to add a bevel and emboss. And that creates some sort of 3D lighting basically around it. I don't know if you can see it. It added this. Let me turn it off, turn it back on. We have lighting on a side and we have shadow on the other side. I actually want the angle to be a little different so we can play around with the angle. You can see what it does. Gives it more depth and makes it look 3D in a way. When it comes to depth here, I'm going to bring that all the way up. I'm going to change the screen mode for the highlights. I want that to be linear dodge, and I'm going to bring it down a lot. We just want it to be barely visible. And multiply is the shadow here. We also want that to be barely visible, although this has less impact on our image. So we're going to keep it around 50 and that should be good. Actually, I want this a little less. Boom. Let's click away. There you go. Not bad at all. What we can also do in order to add more detail to the background is we can also Control V on the background on top of the shape layer and the gradient. We can Control V and we can move this around a little bit just to change the location. And then here we can go, for example, overlay could be one. We could also use soft light, or if we want just the light parts, it would be too light. Let's go with multiply or color burn or linear burn. Actually, I like linear burn because if we lower the fill, we're going to have a more interesting look. So yeah, that's super grungy. We're going to add the clipping mask. We want that arrow to point down too. So boom, I was holding Alt, and now that's a little more visible. We can lower the fill even more if we want it to be less contrasty. And finally, with the top layer selected, let's click on the T and just add our text. And from there, you can type whatever you want, of course. This font actually matches a little bit, makes it a little grungy, futuristic, dystopia, total recall, maybe cyberpunk-ish, more like Quake-ish. Find another font just for the sake of it. But we are working with very straight lines and sharp corners, so don't pick something that has a lot of curves. All right, this font is kind of cliche, but I kind of like the spray paint crate look of it. So click our move tool. We can Control Alt T to make it bigger, hold Shift, or we can double click on the T, type our biggest words, let's say commands. And as long as this fits, this is the right size, basically. We wouldn't want anything to go past this point. If your paragraph is centered, and yeah, holding Shift and then the arrow keys to select stuff. And of course, for example, you can get rid of those stripes if you want to add your icons. People love to put icons sometimes. All right, you can turn off the background and then you're ready to export it. Click File, Export as PNG. This is number 3. I forgot to export the third one, the second one. So this is the second one. I'm actually going to add this one because I want it to be visible. Or am I? Let's turn off the stroke on this and back to fill. Discord. I'm actually going to match the color here because this isn't quite white. So with this selected, double click on the T, go to the color here, and then click on that light blue that it has. Click away. That's not bad. It's blending here. So what I want to do is have Discord be on top of it. There you go. Now it matches a little bit better, but you got to make sure that the letters are visible like that. And let's go ahead and export this. So File, Export as PNG. This is going to be number 2. So this is what we made. Boom. We have a pretty kick-ass panel right there. We have this pretty clean square. You can put whatever picture you want in there. And then donate, which is more cliche, I would say, but it looks good. And if you have your color scheme, it's a good way of displaying it. And we did that all for free in our browser, which means you can do this from any computer in the world as long as it has internet. You don't need Photoshop. This is completely free. So talking about completely free, I'm going to go ahead and export those, but I almost messed that up. Cancel, click File, and I'm going to go to Publish Online as a PSD. Click OK. And this will create a specific link for that project, meaning that I will give you that link and you can just open it. It will be exactly like that with all the layers. All you have to do is modify them and export them. All right, so that's the first one. Let's do that for the second one too. And finally, the third one. And there you go. All 3 of them have their custom links that I'm going to save and share to you. Where? In the description. All right, so this was how to create some panels, couple of different designs and easy ways of making it. Of course, I didn't do everything from scratch. We actually utilize a bunch of free images online. But hey, I think that's a great introduction to graphic design, manipulating stuff that's already made until you can create them from scratch. Anyways, if you have any questions or any other graphic design tutorials like that, always related to Twitch, because you know, this channel is very, very much related to Twitch, leave them in the comment section below and I'll make sure to read them. Another huge thank you to SolarStream. Make sure you check them out. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. I'm always happy to have sponsors that have to do with my core audience, which is mostly live streamers. One last time, make sure you check out all the links in the description, and also follow me on social media, but as well as on Twitch. Sometimes I make those things live on Twitch. So if you have any questions or if you just want to talk about content creation in general, I'm on Twitch, okay? That being said, thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you guys next time. Go out there, make me proud, get level, out.